Pakistan are living on handouts, on they don't have their own money anymore. How do you think that's going to now affect what their sponsorship is in Kashmir, the Khalistani movement? What do you think is going to happen to those?
Look, it's already affecting the. You can see Kashmir has virtually been pacified. I never expected it to be pacified so soon, but it is now pacified completely. Will there be one or two terror attacks every year? Sure. There's nothing you can do about the lone wolf terror attack. That one planned attack, you can file 100, they just have to succeed once. And that's that. Uh, you can't prevent that from happening. So, I mean, that you can't prevent from happening anywhere in India. And it's going to be the same frequency as the rest of India, no more, no less. Khalistan is a much more interesting proposition. Because remember, when the Khalistan insurgency started off, Pakistan was the rich neighbor and India was the poor neighbor. India was very close to bankruptcy in 1990, 1991, which is why Narasimha Rao did all those reforms and stabilized the economy. The problem is, what has happened since then is Punjabis who have immigrated to Canada and the UK have become a very high disposable income community, number one. At the same time, Pakistan has become a beggar. But more importantly, what has happened is governments in Canada and the UK, in the name of not interfering in community affairs, have essentially thrown their local Sikh populations to the wolves by allowing the violent uh, uh, community leaders to essentially feudalize the community under them. I can tell you for a fact, Sikhs in Canada, I know so many Sikhs in Canada and the UK who live under terror that if they don't rock up to an anti India protest or something, something will happen to them.
Wow.
And I faced this firsthand, thankfully, not directly, but my first day when I moved south from, I used to live in a place called Port Douglas in far north
I
Queensland.
know, I've been
And I
there.
moved
I've
down
been there.
to
That's where the Barrier
a
Reef is,
lovely,
right?
gorgeous place. Exactly right. And that's where I got my pilot's license and my diving license because I lived on the beach. So I literally used to wear my swimsuit and go out diving
Amazing. Did you do
from
your PADI?
my
Did you do the
house.
PADI course?
Yeah, yeah, I'm actually a dive
Ah,
master.
I
I've
only
come
did my
down to.
initial.
Okay, so I've now come down to rescue diver because you have to pay party to maintain dive master, which is the first professional notch. So I'm a rescue. I'm still a rescue
Yes.
diver. Um, But what happens is when I move down there, Melbourne, I go to, I'm like, yay, I'm finally getting Indian food stores because in far north Queensland, there are no Indian food stores. Maybe there are now, they were then. Um, so I go to a Tamil store and I'm so happy that I'm starting to speak in Tamil. The shopkeeper just jerks me aside and he says, Sir, could you please be very careful when you speak Tamil? Because if you speak Tamil, the LTT will rock up at your door. And it turns out the people who were staying in the flat before me were Tamils who moved out because they couldn't deal with the kind of extortion and harassment the LTT were doing in Melbourne. They would come and say, they would find out everything about your family. And then they would come and say, well, guess what? We know where your family is. If you don't keep paying us this much to continue the liberation struggle in Sri Lanka, we're going to kneecap your mom, we're going to kneecap your dad, etc., etc., etc.
Wow.
And very frequently they would carry it out. Now, and this was, of course, before the LTT were crushed by Rajapaksa, justifiably so. Because remember, the LTT killed more Tamils than Sinhalese ever did. Never forget that. Uh, uh, but if you come to this, the Khalistani situation out there, they've essentially been thrown to the wolves under these rapine, vicious, nasty feudal leaders who use the community to further their own personal agendas. And it's something you just can't prevent. What would a Punjabi family sitting in Punjab do? Live in squalor and drug addiction here because because of the insurgency, Punjab missed out on that cycle of industrialization that happened from 1991 to 2000. That's a missed generation, so they never industrialized. The attempt to modernize the farm laws meant even the defeudalization of society could not happen because the farm laws were then scrapped last year. So what are you left with? You then go off to Canada. So what would you rather do? Have a secure future with government funded drug rehab, even though you have to come out and protest and go burn a few cars every now and then, as opposed to living in India with no future at all. So it's and this is a lot of the opposition to the farm laws had to do with that. Unless you maintain an oppressive feudal environment run by the same people running the community out
Yes.
there, incidentally. The feudal oppressors here, who are the Jat Sikhs, are also the ones who are terrorizing the Sikh community in Canada and the UK. They need to maintain that oppressive rule here so that they can get fodder to run their politics in UK and Canada.
Do you know what? This is real news to me. I've not heard of this, and I'm quite active, so I'm hoping a lot of the audience have really woken up with this, because I didn't know that was happening in the West.
It
Yeah, I did.
does. It does. I would really recommend you make friends with the worst kind of Khalistani you can find, and quietly the poor ones, and then go into their houses and catch them off guard and have a genuine heart to heart with them.
Wow.
I have several friends who are forced to be Khalistanis in public, who fear for their lives in private because they don't know what will happen to them. And they know both the RCMP and British police are so corrupt and crooked. They will do absolutely nothing if anything happens to their families. It will be written off as culturally relative policing.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net.